This podcast is sponsored by Chakra 17 Coffee. Folks, Chris sent me a couple of these bags a few weeks ago to try. And as you know, I've been enjoying other quality coffee to this point. But I have to say, honestly, this may very well be the best coffee I've ever tried in my life to date. And after trying it, it's easy to see why. Made with 100% pure Arabica beans, locally grown and responsibly sourced, packed with all types of health benefits, all types of antioxidants for anti-aging properties and health. And as if that weren't enough, for each cup of coffee you consume, a percentage of the profits go to human sex and trafficking organizations that help wholly reduce or eliminate human sex trafficking throughout the world. So it truly is a great gourmet coffee with a great cause. If you're interested in learning more about this product, simply go to the link below the video or click in the link in the description. Thank you for your support. Hi, everyone, and welcome to this week's weekly RV report for Friday, November 14th, 2025. Thanks for joining in and tuning in. We appreciate it. If you are new to the podcast, as always, please do like, subscribe, and share, as it helps the channel grow and others to gain in the knowledge you're currently being afforded. As you know, I'm not a financial advisor, nor does this report constitute financial advice. It's merely quality information for you to use for your own personal discernimental authority. Now, turning to the nation of Iraq, we have, as always, several pictures and articles to show you here. So we're going to start with this one. And let's go to the first one here. Okay, in the nation of Iraq, Zoom News is reporting, of course, Iraq Prime Minister Mohammed Shia al-Sudani says his Reconstruction Development Coalition came in first in Tuesday's parliamentary election, securing over 1 million votes. In a post on X, he writes that the result reflects on their belief that Iraq comes first, adding that Iraq will always remain a priority throughout his dedication of loyal sons, daughters, expressing deep gratitude to the Iraqi people for their support in the path of work, development, and achievement. See if we can go to the next article here for you. I'm just going to pull these up, as you know, one at a time. And here is one of the primary articles that shows it here in a rough translation on Google from Arabic. Sudanese, our slogan is Iraq first. So he's reinforcing that point. Once again, sounds a lot like President Trump. And we know that President Trump has been working with him behind the scenes. We saw what President Trump did, meeting with him about 6 weeks ago, I believe it was, at the Middle East Peace Summit. Okay, here's the next article. This just reinforcing the same thing from another vantage point. Our coalition, reconstruction and development is first because we believe, again, that Iraq comes first. We extend our deep gratitude to the people. This is kind of a reprise of the same article in a different faction. He won the elections on November 11th, which was also, not coincidentally, Veterans Day here in America. He was said to have won a sizable portion of the Shiite vote. And as you've seen in the articles, he stressed the key words that all pertain to the process of bringing Iraq back onto the international stage in preparation to reinstate the dinar. This we know. So let's go to another article I want to show you here. And this is Mark Savaya. As you've seen him a lot recently in our reports, he is the U.S. envoy to Iraq, published this form letter concerning the week's Iraq elections. This is what he had to say on the matter. I'd like to extend my sincerest congratulations to the brave people of Iraq on successful completion of the parliamentary elections, a crucial step towards strengthening democracy and stability in the country. The Iraqi people have once again shown their commitment to freedom, the rule of law, and strong national institutions. I commend Prime Minister Sudani's government for ensuring this important election was held on time and conducted smoothly. Clear sign Iraq is moving towards greater prosperity and sovereignty. Remember, we talked about President Trump leveling the playing field and making all the nations sovereign, having to stand on their own 2 feet with a solid currency backed in real assets in the ground. The U.S. remains firmly committed to supporting Iraq's sovereignty efforts and endeavors to end external interference. That's not only the U.S. military, but mostly the corrupt Iranian proxies and armed militias. Key words right there when you know. We look forward to working with the next government to deepen our strategic partnership in security, energy, and development to help build a stable, again, and prosperous future. So another big sort of nugget of information. So that covers the majority of Iraq. As you know, we try to be as succinct as possible. We have an interesting article here we want to show you. It's actually a testimony from a subscriber from the show that we did with Nick Veniaman, fellow friend on the podcast on Wednesday. He chimed in on our Rumble channel, and one of my team members caught this and shared it with me. So he said, Alex SP8, thank you for sharing, by the way, if you're watching this. I'm living in Vietnam, and I went into my bank yesterday. I asked two staff if they have finished the training on the new quantum financial system, and they both said yes. And I asked them about the revaluation of the Vietnamese dong and other currencies. They both knew about that as well. So it looks like the global currency reset and quantum financial system are very close to being rolled out. Very positive news indeed. Again, Alex, thank you for sharing those confirmations. Now I'd like to turn our attention to some other sections here, as we customarily do. I want to show you something here I thought was interesting. Fellow friend and team member John G., I've referenced many times, popped this one out in his humble genius. And this article is talking about Chinese scientists turning copper into gold. The process in which copper is blasted with argon gas creates particles with similar properties to gold. Similar properties, not exact. The new material cannot be turned into fake gold coins, but could reduce the use of precious metals in manufacturing. So as you folks know that have a scientific background, silver has two isotopes that can never be replicated. The Chinese can create gold through a specific frequency manipulation on copper. We have in part a scarcity of silver because it cannot be duplicated. So that's just another thing that's going to make silver a rarity, the authenticity of it too. As you know, with one of our primary partners, Noble Gold, they aid in going a long way towards processing the authenticity of the silver with 9995 accuracy and authenticity of the metal itself. I'd like to show you another interesting article that comes from a man we've talked highly about many, many times over. And this is yet another seminal example of why. And I'm referring to Currency 365, many of you know him as John Nego, has urged President Trump to do the following measure urgently. Something, by the way, he suggested back in early April of this year. And here's the article. In his opinion, and as an op-ed piece, President Trump must announce a 90-day pause on all short and naked short trading for him, his family, and American citizens' entire portfolio go to zero by corrupt market markers, brokers, exchanges, bankers who sold their souls to the CCP, especially to destroy USA wealth. So there's a couple of things at play here, folks. That is one option, and that would be the preferable option, and he may still do that. Another option is to flood the market, which is what is known as commonly as QE, or quantitative easing. A good friend to our channel, Greg Manarino, mentioned this possibility in our podcast both this year and last year. In simplest terms, QE means a monetary or money policy whereby a central bank injects money into the economy, buying assets like government bonds, treasury bonds, for example, from financial institutions, banks, Schwab, Fidelity, etc. This action lowers long-term interest rates, increases the money supply, and encourages banks to lend more to stimulate economic activity during a recession or when other stimulus methods have failed. Okay, so you're probably going, okay, that doesn't make it easier. That still complicates things. Here's the short of it. We just had Mr. B on our channel. This is where we show you how things correlate, right? So Mr. B has been talking about we are not done with the height of the melt of the economy, of the bubble gum that represents the economy. When you blow a bubble and it expands until it eventually pops. We're getting to that point probably by January. So QE is going to be another way to blow out the Federal Reserve out of the system and blow out the old system, ostensibly ballooning it, getting the last bits of gas or juice out of it that you possibly can, squeezing the lemon before it goes completely dry and kaput. So he can use QE to basically get the last bits of lifeblood out of the old system, which will pump up the stock market artificially, will pump up the cryptos. And that's why we talk about taking profits at the top before it crashes. So it's just another way to kill the old system, basically, in layman's terms. So it's been widely thought that the big crypto exchanges, such as Binance and Coinbase, were on our side as consumers back in 2018 and 2019. But ever since they gained our trust in business, they have been working against us vis-a-vis AI bots who are working internally to slam the prices of manipulation of all the meme and all coins downwards. This explains largely why our crypto portfolios have been lagging, sucking, and compromised. But with the end game now in place with ISO 20022 being implemented a week from now, next Saturday, 22nd, as well as President Trump getting set to announce the super crypto bull run cycle, coupled with either a 90-day freeze on all naked shorts for the banks and the exchanges like Binance and Coinbase, or a secret plan to inject the market with QE, this will create the opening for us to finally flourish on the crypto portfolios, again, for the next 40, 50 days, where you will be taking profit. Again, just our personal suggestion of what we're going to do. Govern yourself accordingly. Okay, and then the last part, precious metals and commodities at the time of this broadcast. As you can see, we will show for transparency on Friday, the 14th. This is, of course, Pacific Coast time. At the time of broadcast, silver is currently trading at $50.91, down slightly from yesterday's high of, I believe, it was close to 54. Gold is trading at $4,073.76, down from about 4,200. And crude oil is trading currently at $60.19, and the dollar index holding stubbornly at 99.31. But this will be set to go down as well at the height of the melt-up bust, as Mr. B talked about on our podcast earlier this week. Well, that does it for this week's RV report. Anything breaking, as always, we'll bring it to you urgently. Otherwise, have a great and safe weekend. Thank you for watching. Take care. God bless. Goodbye for now.